Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you happen to be. My name is Carmen Mazzara, and I serve as Executive Director of APSIA, the Association of Professional Schools of International Affairs, the community of graduate schools worldwide that specialize in teaching international affairs, to which all of your programs belong. I'm very glad to welcome you to our continuing series on the many different career options in international affairs. Today, talking about and learning about the wonderful work of the Millennium Challenge Corporation. So, I want to thank our speaker, Andrea Taylor, and thank all of you for being a part of this conversation. We are recording, and the recording will be available on APSIA's YouTube page by the end of today. If you have any technical issues as we go through, please feel free to send me a direct message. But I look forward to hearing all of your rich and wonderful conversation and questions that you have for our speaker, since this is a great chance while she's captive with us to really get insights into the work of MCC. And so with that, I'm very pleased to turn the floor over to Andrea Taylor. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. And thank you, Carmen, for inviting me. I had a video for you guys, and I was so excited because MCC just celebrated, we just celebrated our 20-year anniversary. So I was excited to show you guys a video, but the audio wouldn't work. But Carmen did put the video link in the comments, so you guys will be able to see it at a later date. And kind of fill you in on some of the things that I might miss when I'm telling you about MCC. So MCC is Millennium Challenge Corporation, and I know with you guys in your studies, I know a lot of you guys have probably already heard about MCC. However, MCC is a small federal government organization that was founded in 2004 under the Bush administration, the son. And it was started, and Millennial Challenge Corporation is an agency that helps smaller countries or helps countries that are dealing in good governance. They help them with poverty. They help them with growth in their economic development. But the countries also have to be working in good governance. So basically, the breakdown of MCC is, or the breakdown is, MCC deals with the World Bank, and they they deal with the 80 poorest countries. Aside from the countries that we're not allowed to work with, the North Koreas, the Irans, countries like that. MCC deals with them, and the countries actually apply, and they actually go through what we call a scorecard, and they are rated on if they are dealing in, like I said, good governance, if they're investing in their people, if they're investing in their land. And then once they score on the scorecard, then we take, MCC, what we call our sector or our team, then works with that country, and we help with, like, let's say, water towers, Wi-Fi, things like that. So let me see if I could get my PowerPoint up so that I can show you guys a breakdown. Carmen, can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay, 1 second. Oh, I see what I did wrong. Sorry, guys. You can see it now, right, Carmen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of the pictures from a girls STEM camp that MCC worked with. So MCC, what's possible? MCC is unique because we have partnerships with other countries. Partners with other governments of countries. I'm sorry. MCC compact and threshold programs are time-bound 5-year grants. So when they say 5-year grants, from the time that we pick a country to work with, from pin up to pin down, it's 5 years. So if we're building a new system, water system, from the time it starts, from the time it ends, it's going to be 5 years. MCC is very good with sticking with their plan. MCC makes its investment decisions on data and results, and country partners must meet conditions to stay eligible for investments. And also, when we say the grants, they are not they're grants, so they're not loans or anything that those countries have to pay back. Like I was telling you guys before, MCC forms partnerships with developing countries who are committed to good governance, economic freedom, and investing in their people. The countries that MCCs have worked with have used MCC scorecard, like I was telling you guys about the scorecard, to guide to reform their policies and laws. For example, reforms that expand the freedom to organize or exercise free speech across civil society, ensure land ownership, inheritance rights of women, and increase enforcement of tax collection and licensing. MCC works in the following areas: agriculture, education, energy, health, land and property rights, roads and transportation, water, sanitation, and irrigation. These are some, and we need to update this. This is what we had as far as September 2023. These are a lot of the countries that we have that MCC has worked with. We are currently also still in Lesotho, Mozambique, Togo, Sierra Leone, Cabo Verde. Those are some of the countries that I've worked on. So we are currently still in those countries. And Benin. So I don't know if you'll be able to see the video here. This is one of our managing directors. He was in, I want to say this was in Benin. No, this was in Malawi. I'm going to pause. So now that I gave you guys a synopsis of MCC, I'm here. I like the questions because we can read about MCC all day long and the good things that my agency is doing across the world. But I want to get into the questions, and I know you guys want to ask certain questions. So I am now available for questions.
Well, thank you, Andrea. And I invite folks to raise their hands or put them in the chat or do whatever you like. And while you're typing, I'm going to start off, Andrea, and ask, could you talk a little bit about the differences between a career at a place like MCC and some other federal agencies that folks might know, like USAID or the State Department, particularly how hiring might be different or the kinds of things you might be looking for might be different?
So, okay. MCC is the only agency that, well, I've worked at another agency prior to MCC, but for MCC, it's been very different for me. So we are a lot aligned with Peace Corps, USAID, and the State Department. Those are kind of like the agencies that we work with. And those are kind of like a lot of people, if we are within federal government, when it comes to the specific departments, those are a lot of people that we get. And we get a lot of people that have been in Peace Corps that are going out to the countries that we work in, and they become resident country directors. So let me say that too. I know with some agencies, they will give money to the government, and they'll give money to the government, and that'll be that. However, MCC puts people in place to manage the projects that we have. So if there's a project, like I said, of building a water tower in Ghana, then we have a project. We have what we call a resident country director. We have a team that works directly with the embassy, and they're out there, boots on the ground, working on those particular, working on that particular project. A lot with, Peace Corps. I know people come from Peace Corps or that are in Peace Corps. There are boots on the ground in those countries as well. So the hiring process, a lot of those agencies are larger agencies. USAID, State Department are larger agencies. MCC, on the scale of agencies, is very small. At MCC, we are maybe at this point at 350 people total. So with that, we're on a smaller scale. And we mainly hire up. So we have very few entry level positions. So we do have some positions that you come in and you can what we call a um I have it on the tip of my tongue. When you are a project officer, so you're basically overseeing a country, or you're helping a team oversee the country, but you're here in DC, and you're assisting that country, let's say in Benin or Ghana. So we do have those people, but we have very few entry level positions. Some of our other entry level positions start at pathways internships. So we get a lot of people that are in college. So when we have some people that come through MCC and fellowships, and once they complete the fellowships, sometimes the department wants to hire them as a pathway intern, especially if they're still in school or a recent graduate, or in some of you guys' cases, because you guys are in graduate school, some of you guys may be PMFs, President Management Fellows. So it really depends on a lot, and with all agencies, it depends on budget, how the hiring goes as well.
That's a great segue to Madeline's question. She asks, could you please talk about internships for this summer and in general, as well as full-time opportunities?
Okay. So what I would tell you, let me start with the first one. That's why I stopped at internships and I didn't go into it at first, because I knew that was going to be a question. So we do have pathways internships. Like I said, budget determines, because pathways internships are paid internships through our agency. However, a lot of times we will, for the summer internships, we will get interns from the Rosenthal Fellowship. We'll get interns from, not even interns, but we might get help from DC government for summer works. We also might get help. We have a relationship with Jackson Reed High School because they have a global services program at their school. So we try to work a lot with them. So we'll this year get interns from DC government, from DC public schools. But our main way of interns has been through the Rosenthal Fellowship, and a lot of those interns have then turned into pathways internships. And sometimes we will look for PMF internships, or they're open for, if you already are a PMF, then we're open for rotations.
And for all of you who are curious about the Rosenthal Fellowship and the PMF program, your career offices have lots of information on both of those as you look towards internship opportunities.
Yeah, I would say this. I'm sorry, Carmen.
No, please.
As far as the Rosenthal internship, it is a fellowship, is a great program, but they do start early. So go to your career center as soon as possible, get the information, because I do know, like, I think they had to have their applications in by November of 2023. And then they were sending us resumes, and we have to complete interviews by March. So they're early.
And I see a question in the chat from Rachel. Rachel is currently at the Peace Corps and was wondering about the process of moving throughout different federal agencies, and how Peace Corps service is something folks can leverage in their MCC job applications.
So I do know Peace Corps is a lot, like a lot of people come over. Actually, if you go to MCC's Instagram page, I think it's mcc.gov or MCC. If you go to Millennium Challenge Instagram page, we just had a series of people who did interviews who now work for MCC, who talked about their time during Peace Corps. So it is an agency that I won't necessarily say, because of different departments and different hiring managers, I won't necessarily say that it's leverage, but I will say we have a lot of people that work with us that come from Peace Corps. So wink, wink.
I don't know what you're talking about. So Madeline had a follow-up question about, are there opportunities to intern for the summer if they're self-funded? And also separately, whether internships are typically in country offices or if they're only in DC.
So good question. We are looking at international internships, but the international internships, we have to put out there first with the countries. I have to see which countries need interns. And then when we do put it out there, they are self-funded. Like you have to make your way over there, and they are self-funded. But they're great opportunities. I'm trying to think of when we will be looking for international interns. I want to say this summer, I'm going to start for next summer. So I definitely have to. So if you would like to send me your email, I mean, if you like to send me an email with your resume, I can keep it in our folder so that when we do start putting out our countries and we do start soliciting for internships to go out for the international interns, I can keep you in mind. It was something else that she asked. I'm sorry, it was a part two to that.
She was looking for this summer as well, and whether, yeah, and then the DC versus in country.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we don't have any internships right now for our DC office. Like I said, we're getting like 7 people from Rosenthal for this summer. So we do start early with looking for our interns here. But there's also USA Jobs has a new student internship portal, a pathways portal. So I would definitely, you guys go on the USA Jobs, and I think one of the filters is students, and that you'll be able to get the pathways portal and be out there to search and also make your resume in USA Jobs, make it searchable, so that, because also USA Jobs has a thing called the talent portal. So people like me that is a recruiter, and if I have a job that may not even be hard to fill or that I want to look for some people for, I will go out in the talent portal, and let's say it's international development. I'll type that into the search, and then it'll come up with people that have made their resumes viewable, that have international development in their resume. And then I'm able to email those people a job link, the USA Jobs link, to say, hey, I have this job out. Please, I think your resume will match this job. So I found I just had I had an attorney job that I just posted, and I emailed, let's say, 80 people, and I think I had about 10 people applied. They were thankful that I sent them the link because it was just one day. They didn't have to go out and search for jobs. It was actually coming to them.
Anna, I'll get to your question in a minute, but to build on that, Andrea, are there other keywords that you typically put into USA Jobs to turn up folks who would be good candidates for MCC?
So sometimes it's not keywords, but there's also like the job series. So if you want to look under admin or a miscellaneous job series, those are the job series that I look under, and it really depends. So if I'm looking for engineers, I will put in engineer. It just depends on what department. Sometimes we're looking for people that speak French. So if you have French in your resume, because a lot of the countries that so MCC is broken down into 2 parts. Our Department of Compact Operations is broken down into 2 parts. The biggest part is the Africa program. So the Africa section has their own section. And then we have the other sections for the other countries that we work with, like the Indonesia, the Belize, the places like that. They're all into another section in group because it's not that many. We have many compacts that we have done in Africa. So with all the countries that we have in Africa, a lot of them speak French. So French, Portuguese. A lot of times engineers are the people that I'm looking for. It just depends. It really depends on the job and the position.
That's great. So all of you with experience among the countries in Africa or who speak those languages, be sure that's in your USA Jobs profile.
Yes, I will tell you, like a different language or having a second language is good. It's a good thing to have a second language, especially when applying for some of those jobs out there.
Excellent. And thanks for all the great questions in the chat. Anna was curious if you could share more about professional development opportunities and the organizational culture at MCC.
Okay. Professional development. So MCC has a lot of training. Once again, it depends on the department that you're going to. But the federal government offers a lot of training, but MCC has a lot of training. And what I have seen in the culture of MC, so it's kind of going into both questions, that so we're small, so everyone knows each other, everyone gets to know each other, and it's not a typical government agency. Sometimes when new people come on board, I tell them, if you look at our offices, we're located in downtown DC on 14th Street in the Franklin Court building. So we occupy 3 floors in that Franklin Court building. And it reminds me of a law firm, sort of like, but it's like quasi corporate in the agency, in the department, or in the building. We have 3 floors. We have great functions. We have great parties. We have great Christmas parties, great gatherings. Not too long ago, we did a food gathering where people made dishes from the different countries that they have been in, that MCC has worked with. So it's great. Um, there are a lot of people. We don't have a lot of turnover at MCC. There are people that have been there since inception. There are people that have been there. I mean, besides the people that are politicals, that when you are in the federal government, if you don't know, but when you're in the federal government, a lot of the leadership changes when the president changes or when the administration changes. So besides those people, a lot of the people that have worked there have been there for quite some time, like over a lot of people have been there over 10 years. So that is to say that it's been a great place to work. And a lot of those people have come up from being what we call project managers, or uh, project officers, coming from up to being managing directors, and things of that nature. One of our old deputy, he was a managing director in one department before, and then became the deputy CEO of the agency.
Actually, could you tell us the names or the categories of the different levels? So what is an entry level job for someone, a title for someone with a master's degree coming into MCC?
So it's kind of weird now. So someone coming in with a master's degree will be in a position called a PO, So like a project officer, senior project officer, things like that. So, and then you'll move up from there. You can be an associate director or a director. You can move from there and be a managing director, managing director. And from a managing director, you can be a VP and the VP is over the whole department. But under an associate director, as like I said, the SPO, you're working with those countries. Managing director, you're managing the POs, SPOs, and it depends on the different departments, but there are the levels. So, and then they're also the point, the department of our CPA, our Congressional and Public Affairs Department, that houses a whole lot of our media, our websites, external affairs, public affairs, the things that we write out, things like that. And you can become someone who's just a specialist to becoming someone who's a supervisor, to someone who's then a managing director, and then maybe a deputy VP, and then the VP.
And that's a great reminder that it's not just the country teams, there is the whole public affairs and international comms side of the house as well.
So we have a few departments. We have our administration and finance department, which is like our finance, admin services, HR, things like that, in IT. Then you will have Department of Compact, the Department of Compact, which is like I said, those are the people who work on the team or who work on the countries. So, and then after that, you'll have our Department of Policy and Evaluation. So under them, they're evaluating the policies, they're evaluating the countries, they're working on the scorecards and things like that before they get to Department of Compact Operations. We'll have our OGC, our basically our law office of general counsel. So of course, everything that we do, they even have two sides. They have the international side and they have the admin side. And then of course we have our CEO's office, who is all the other administrative stuff.
Lots of good stuff. And do you feel like you all are growing? Are there going to be more roles depending on budget in Congress?
We are growing. We are growing in size with numbers and in projects, but as far as anything else, I don't know. Too early to speak
Too
on it.
early. Colleen is a PMF, and she's wondering if you have a sense when MCC might be posting their PMF opportunities and how many PMF opportunities you all might have this year.
Colleen, that is I don't know. So, Colleen, everything depends on budget. And right now, some of our departments, fortunately, but sometimes unfortunately for the people that are seeking jobs, they're fully staffed. So when we will be, it really depends on some of the projects that they work on, because sometimes they don't need long-term help and that they can have a budget for a PMF. And sometimes we do rotations where another agency is paying for a person to come and work with us for a project. So it really depends. I don't foresee me posting anytime soon. Will there be room for rotations? Possibly. Are you able to send me your resume and I'm able to send it to a few managing directors? Absolutely. To see if they would be possibly looking for a PMF. And then if not, I would just say always just email me, stick your head in. Hey, I'm just seeing, I'm checking the temperature.
That is the best offer in town, friends. And so I think you should absolutely take her up on this. Rachel noted, yeah, no, please go ahead.
No, I was going to go to, I reviewed your questions that you had asked me the other day. So I did have answers, because one of them I had to get with one of the managing directors, because I sit in on the student interviews, but a lot of the interviews I don't sit in on. But I work with once we put the jobs out and I'm reviewing resumes and I'm referring the people to the hiring directors, hiring managers. So I had to make sure I cross-reference. So I was going to get to some of the questions, but if you have a question from somebody, I can go ahead and answer.
I do. We have a couple more already in the chat, and okay. So then yes, that I think learning about who's involved in the hiring process and the timeline would be great. But we had a question. Someone noted that the MCC agreements are time limited, and they were curious how that affects staff movement. Do staff then transition to another location in country when the project closes out, or how does that affect staffing? And they noted that Peace Corps has term limits, and so they were curious if that's something MCC has too.
We do. So if you see on some of our agency or some of our postings, they are posted for 66 months or no, not to exceed 66 months. So some of our the people that go out in country, they know this. They know walking in the door that I'm here for 5 years and I'm working on this project for this amount of time. Now, what can happen is if we have another project coming after that, or another country coming after that, before their project ends, they can apply for that country, which is good. I've seen a couple of people get transferred over to another country, but also some people just move on to other positions. So yes, we do have the term positions, and everyone knows walking in that that's for the resident country directors and the people that are boots on the ground. They know that their term is not to exceed a certain amount of time.
And that's actually a great segue to John David's question, which is some of those entry-level roles that you shared, are they typically in DC? Are they abroad? If students and graduates want to go abroad, how does that process look and work as well?
So all of those positions, at entry-level positions, are in DC. We are not a remote agency. We do have telework, but we're not a remote agency. So all of the jobs are in our DC, located in our DC office.
And if folks were interested in positions in Ghana is lovely, or Benin, or in somewhere else, how are there those positions also on USA Jobs, or does that typically
Yeah.
happen through local hiring?
Nope, all of our positions are posted on USA Jobs.
Excellent. And several people are hungry for your email address, Andrea, since you've been so kind. And
I
so
know.
I'll invite you to put that in the chat as well when you have a chance.
Okay. Okay, I will. I will. Let me type right now.
And friends, don't forget to remind her who you are and how you met her, as well as all the kind things she promised you. But be sure you give some context when you reach out, because I'm sure she gets a lot of messages
I
in the
do.
course of a day.
I do, and I really try to take my non-busy day is like a Friday. So I really try to take my Friday and go back through. I'll flag all my emails that I see that come through, and I'll try to go back and I'll at least respond to something, even if it's, hey, I'm looking for a PMF position, and I'm saying I don't have any right now. I'm still responding. Several people I've told, please don't think I forgot about you. It's just so many. Sometimes there's so many moving parts to our day to day. Sometimes we just get very busy with moving parts, but I try to respond to everyone.
And are there good ways that students should approach you, or things that make your life easier, that make it more likely for them to get noticed in a good way?
Say it one more time.
Are there good things students should do to make your life easier or to get noticed in a good way?
So that's kind of a segue into one of the questions that you asked. So one of the questions you asked is, what do graduate level students and career staff who support them need to know to be competitive in this space? And how can good candidates most effectively get in front of you? So that answer, it would say, I spoke with the hiring manager on this one. I wanted to make sure I had all the information for you guys today. So she told me I would encourage graduate students to not only hone their technical and or regional skills depending on the areas of focus that interest them, but to also focus on what the professional word refers to as soft skills. The ability to communicate effectively with different audiences is important. Understanding how to work across a team to pull together information is vital. Candidates should hone their interview skills and learn how to showcase good examples that highlight responses to the panel or interviewers' questions. To access these opportunities, connect with alum from your schools that work at organizations that interest you. Join professional groups and attend networking sessions. Make sure you maintain a professional and current LinkedIn profile. Wanted to make sure I had that good answer.
Yeah. Excellent advice. And I'm sure all of you have also heard those things from your career office. So you've heard it here. LinkedIn, interview skills, soft skills, teamwork. But I did want to pick up on one thing you mentioned, Andrea, thinking about country knowledge and technical knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
As you see the teams grow and change, are you seeing more demand for folks with a regional understanding across different issues, or those technical skills regardless of which country and which region?
What I've seen resumes and the people that have hired, I believe it's been the technical skills that you'll be able to work across different countries, because we all can do research on one particular country, but just to know and how to navigate through a lot of different spaces is what I have seen coming through the door at MCC.
And are there particular, you mentioned monitoring and evaluation, are there other technical areas that students should try to build up their expertise in?
So we hire people with different backgrounds, like I said, education, agriculture, things like that. So it really depends on what your particular background is that you should excel at. Like if it's engineering, our engineering jobs are pretty much hard jobs to fill, because you have to have, they're looking for those specific skills in engineering. Even in our, like I said, we have accounting and finance. So we're looking for people with system skills, budgeting skills, great financing skills, because even those people in accounting and finance, they are managing money for those countries as well, and managing money for the different departments.
All really helpful things. In terms of the roles in country, are they typically, is there a mix of folks from that country and Americans? Is it typically Americans who've been relocated? What is the breakdown usually of the in-country work?
So for the in-country work, people that work for you for MCC are U.S. citizens. However, when we are in country, those people that work for MCC, they work with the embassy, they work with the local government, and they work with different people and different contractors in that country. Yes.
Very helpful. Could you talk also, if you know a little bit about the timeline? You said if you're thinking about next summer's internships, that would come out this year. Is there a general cycle to both hiring and internships that students should be aware of?
Um, so I know we're going to be looking at this summer to hire for next summer for international. As far as pathways interns, we normally do fall, summer, and spring. But with pathways internships, so if you're still in school, we have, if you apply for pathways positions, we have a not to exceed 1 year. It's a 1 year internship, not to exceed 1 year. But however, if you are graduating, because the pathways position is an in school position, if you are graduating, it would end at your graduation date. Um, Recent graduates is a little bit different. If we're looking for someone that is a recent graduate, you have to have been you would have to have graduated your program within the last 2 years. And the PMF President Management Fellows, that's also a little bit different. So it's no, as far as how we position our pathways positions, it's just when we put them out there. Um, Sometimes if we put them out there, like I said, we will utilize the agency talent portal, USA Jobs Agency talent portal. And so when we do it, I might email students automatically that's in international development and say, hey, I have this position, I'll apply. And so, and if I have a short timeline for it, say, let's say 1 week or 2 weeks, and I'm emailing out, then that's it. And then we normally will get someone in, because we also have a security process. So once we acknowledge that we would like to hire you and you fill out the security documents, is then we have to go through security. And sometimes that can take at minimum 4 weeks. And then I've seen some take a few months. So it really depends on when that security process is over with before we can get someone to start.
And I just put some tips in the chat for folks so you can prepare in advance before that clearance process starts, so you're ready to hit the ground running when you get that offer. How competitive typically are different positions? If you said they're open for a week, is that 1,000 applications? Is it 100 applications?
No, it's a lot of people that, like I said, don't even know about MCC. So in the international development world, MCC is kind of known. But a lot of people, I get several candidates at times when I'm telling people about MCC, and they be like, I've never heard of this organization before. So I won't say we get a lot of applicants. It really depends on the position that we're posting for. So I have seen anywhere between, let's say, 180 applicants to down to 3 applicants. So it really depends on the position that we are advertising for.
Those are pretty good odds, 1 in 3.
Yeah.
And what helps candidates stand out in a good way? Are there key things you're looking for in addition to some of those language skills and those technical skills? Is it field work? Is it previous federal experience?
So that goes into the question, one of the other questions that you asked me, what we look for in candidates. When we look for in candidates, we look for candidates to have a passion and work in the international development and international affairs. This means that we look for candidates who are flexible, driven, self-motivated, self-starters. Many of our positions require a high level of comfort with uncertainty and the ability to work effectively within a matrix team. So, did I read? No, strong communication skills and are also critical, both written and verbal. These preferences really haven't changed much over time, particularly since many of these skills are timeless and have implications of many skill sets.
Well, there you go, friends. Great advice. And it's good to know that those key values and all of those pieces have been maintained and are a great way to really make sure that you can stand out in those in a positive way. Is again, folks, the recording of this session will be available online, so you can revisit all of this content as you need it. But if there's any other key questions that you have, as you've heard, Andrea is a great resource and a very open book and willing to be of service to all of you. So be sure this is a great chance to really pick her brain about the good pieces of work that MCC is doing. I had one other key question, which is about that field experience piece. For students who've got a lot of experience in country, whether it's in the portfolio of countries in Africa or Nepal or Indonesia, is there a preference for hiring those folks who've been in that context and know what they're doing, or are you looking for folks who are willing more to move around and have that worldwide availability?
No, I actually just looked at some notes that a manager sent me earlier, and one of the notes was like, what did it say? She basically said, good candidate has knows French, has experience in this country, and they were listed in the strong candidate pool. So if you have experience in those countries, and I think it is an excellent asset to have because it does put you a little bit above the rest, knowing that you'll be able to articulate and be able to move around and effectively communicate with the locals in that area, or even assist if you're assisting a team member or assisting a resident country director in being an advisor to them in that country.
So folks, all of those field experience opportunities or those summer internships that your schools do, it sounds like a great prep. Peace Corps, critical language scholarships, Boren, all of those great ways to get time on the ground. Sounds like great prep for an MCC role. Any other questions, friends, while we have our resident expert here to help you out? All right, Andrea, any other good advice or reasons folks should really think about making sure they pay attention to the MCC job openings?
I will definitely keep an eye out on our MCC webpage, on USA Jobs. I will send, I don't know if I'm able to grab it. Let me try to grab it really quick. I will send our website, our USA Jobs site, because we have our own site on USA Jobs. Let me grab it really quick and I will put it in the chat. We have our own branding page that people can look out for. Is that they have moved stuff around so much in this website. I will send it to you because I cannot find the branding page that we have. Because they changed the website around for our 20th anniversary. I'm just going to post MCC's page, period, in this site. I'm going to post MCC's page in the chat, and everyone can navigate around the page. And we have our jobs listed on there as well. And also check our LinkedIn page. I'm sorry, I didn't give LinkedIn a plug. Check our LinkedIn page. We often update our LinkedIn page. We also post jobs on LinkedIn. I'm also on Handshake, so we'll post jobs on Handshake as well. LinkedIn. We also have our PDN page, Professional Diversity Network page. So if you guys go out to that site, we're listed there too. So we have jobs out there too. So we definitely post places.
And it looks like from the USA Jobs page too, there's a lot of really interesting opportunities. So I encourage you all to keep an eye there and stay in touch with Andrea, who has very kindly made herself available, and to stay in touch with your career office, where a lot of these different possibilities, like Rosenthal, like PMF, and like MCC jobs, are going to come through. So thank you so much, Andrea. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Carmen. I'm so glad we were able to do this.
Me too. And hopefully you will have lots of great folks coming out of the APSIA family and into helping you do the good work that MCC does.
Yes. Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you
great rest
both.
of your day, everybody.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.